George Orwell's 1984 is one of the most influential and unsettling dystopian novels ever written. Set in a world dominated by a totalitarian regime led by the omnipresent party and Big Brother, the novel explores the terrifying consequences of absolute control over society, history, and human consciousness. Orwell imagines a world where surveillance is constant, independent thought is punished, and even language is weaponized to manipulate perception. What makes the book deeply strange and unsettling is Orwell's focus on psychological and linguistic manipulation. Concepts like thought crime, doublethink, and newspeak extend the reach of authority into the mind itself, challenging the very nature of reality and freedom. In this video, we explore 20 of the weirdest and most thought-provoking facts about 1984. Let's go. Fact 20. Thought crime. Concept. One of the most unsettling concepts in Orwell's dystopia is thought crime, the idea that even thinking against the party constitutes a punishable offense. Citizens are monitored not only for their actions but also for the intentions and ideas that form in their minds. In this society, the ultimate transgression is questioning authority internally, and individuals are expected to self-censor their own thoughts. This expansion of control into the human mind makes Orwell's imagined society deeply oppressive and psychologically disturbing. It challenges readers to imagine living in a world where private reflection itself is a threat. What makes thought crime particularly weird is its normalization within the novel. Citizens internalize the party's rules so completely that thinking freely becomes almost impossible, as self-censorship becomes second nature. Orwell highlights how extreme authority can penetrate human consciousness, turning individuals into their own monitors. This concept forces readers to confront how fragile autonomy and privacy are when absolute power seeks to control not just behavior, but perception, thought, and memory itself. The chilling plausibility of this concept is part of what makes 1984 eternally thought-provoking. Fact 19. Doublethink paradox. Orwell's concept of doublethink is one of the novel's strangest and most intellectually provocative ideas. Doublethink is the ability to simultaneously accept two contradictory beliefs as true without recognizing the contradiction. Citizens of Oceania are trained to practice doublethink daily, believing whatever the party dictates while ignoring logical inconsistencies in reality. This psychological conditioning creates a society where rational thought is systematically dismantled, leaving individuals unable to fully trust their own perceptions or memories. The very idea of accepting contradiction as normal is deeply unsettling, forcing readers to reconsider the nature of belief, reality, and obedience. The weirdness of doublethink lies in its normalization within the society. People accept illogical statements or historical revisions without question, demonstrating how authority can reshape cognition itself. Orwell shows that controlling thought does not require physical coercion alone. Manipulating perception and logic can be even more powerful. This creates a cognitive environment that feels alien and oppressive, where truth is malleable and independent judgment is impossible. Doublethink is therefore both a bizarre intellectual concept and a chilling social mechanism, highlighting Orwell's insight into the ways totalitarianism can corrupt not just behavior, but human consciousness itself. Fact 18. Newspeak language. Orwell invented newspeak, a language designed to eliminate the possibility of rebellious thought by reducing vocabulary and simplifying grammar. Words that could express dissent or independent ideas are systematically removed, making subversive thinking nearly impossible. This linguistic control is unusual and unsettling because it demonstrates how language can shape and limit thought itself. By restricting words, the party can effectively control concepts, making the very act of imagining rebellion increasingly difficult. Readers are forced to consider the strange and powerful intersection of language, thought, and authority. What makes Newspeak particularly weird is the extreme precision with which it is applied. The party does not simply ban ideas, it redesigns the language to ensure that certain thoughts cannot exist at all. This makes the novel deeply intellectual and psychologically unsettling, as Orwell shows that controlling expression is a form of total control over reality itself. Newspeak is not just a tool for communication, but an instrument of domination, a linguistic cage that confines the mind. It challenges readers to think about the fundamental power of language in shaping human experience and social control. Fact 17. Omnipresent surveillance. Surveillance in 1984 is pervasive and total. Telescreens are everywhere, monitoring citizens in public and private spaces, recording actions, expressions, and behaviors. The weird aspect of this surveillance is how seamlessly it integrates into daily life. People accept it as ordinary, even though it represents total loss of privacy and autonomy. Orwell forces readers to confront a society where constant observation becomes internalized, showing how fear and indoctrination can make extreme control feel normal. This aspect of the novel is intellectually and psychologically unsettling, as it presents a vision of authority that extends beyond physical coercion into the fabric of consciousness itself. Fact 16. Memory manipulation. In Orwell's dystopia, the party controls reality not only through surveillance and propaganda, but also by manipulating memory. Citizens are expected to accept whatever the party declares as truth, even if it contradicts their recollections. The weirdness of this manipulation lies in its psychological implications. Citizens must actively suppress evidence of their own past experiences, creating cognitive dissonance that normalizes control. Memory becomes a tool for oppression, shaping not just what people think, but what they believe they have experienced. Orwell's depiction is both alien and intellectually provocative, illustrating the terrifying power of authority to redefine reality itself. The psychological tension created by memory control is a core aspect of the novel's unsettling and thought-provoking nature. Fact 15. Prole ignorance. The proles, or proletariat, represent the majority of Oceania's population, yet they live largely outside the party's direct control. Orwell depicts them as ignorant, preoccupied with trivial entertainment, and politically disengaged. What makes this weird is that despite their freedom from constant surveillance, the proles are depicted as powerless to change society because they lack critical awareness. The depiction of the proles is intellectually strange because Orwell suggests that societal survival depends on the dulling of consciousness, offering a critique of political complacency that feels deeply relevant and unsettling. Fact 14. Psychological torture. Orwell's depiction of torture in 1984 is particularly unsettling because it targets the mind rather than merely the body. The Ministry of Love enforces loyalty through fear, indoctrination, and manipulation, ensuring that victims internalize the party's ideology. Brainwashing techniques are used to destroy independent thought and reshape identity. The weird aspect is the emphasis on psychological transformation. The party doesn't merely punish, but seeks to erase dissent entirely, making rebellion not only dangerous, but literally impossible. This mental control is intellectually disturbing because it forces readers to consider the terrifying power of ideology over consciousness. Fact 13. Room 101. Fear. Room 101, the novel's ultimate site of terror, embodies the concept of confronting one's worst fears. Prisoners are forced to face individualized horrors that exploit their deepest anxieties, ensuring complete submission to the party. The concept is weird because it is personalized. the ultimate torture, adapts uniquely to each person's psyche, blending psychology and authority into a terrifying instrument of control. This makes fear itself a weapon of governance, with Orwell presenting a system in which submission is not merely expected, but manufactured at the deepest level of consciousness. Fact 12. 2 minutes hate ritual. The 2 minutes hate is a daily ritual in which party members express intense hatred toward enemies of the state. The strange and unsettling aspect is the performative nature of the act. Citizens are forced to experience and display extreme emotions on command. Orwell exaggerates the absurdity of emotional manipulation, showing how collective hysteria can be orchestrated to maintain political control. The ritual creates a bizarre social dynamic in which genuine sentiment is irrelevant. Compliance with the party's emotional expectations is what matters. This ritual is weird in its effect on individual psychology. Fact 11. Big Brother ubiquity. Big Brother, the omnipresent figure of authority in Oceania, represents the ultimate symbol of surveillance, control, and ideological domination. What makes this figure weird and unsettling is that Big Brother may not even exist as a real person. He could be a purely constructed image designed to unify the population under constant fear and loyalty. The novel blurs the boundary between reality and propaganda, challenging readers to think about the power of constructed authority. The psychological impact of Big Brother is pervasive. Posters, telescreens, and slogans constantly remind citizens that they are always being watched, and that love for Big Brother is both expected and enforced. Fact 10. 2 truths. Paradox. The party's manipulation of reality extends to the acceptance of contradictory truths. Citizens are expected to believe whatever the party asserts, even if it directly contradicts prior facts or experiences. This paradox, central to 1984, is intellectually weird because it destabilizes the very concept of truth. Reality is no longer a shared or objective phenomenon, but a construct entirely dictated by authority. Orwell forces readers to consider a world where truth is mutable, illustrating the terrifying consequences of absolute ideological control. The weirdness lies in the normalization of this cognitive dissonance. Citizens must actively reconcile contradictions in their minds, practicing a kind of mental gymnastics to align perception with party dictates. Fact 9. Surveillance technology. In 1984, technology is a tool of omnipresent control. Telescreens and hidden microphones allow constant monitoring of citizens' behavior, speech, and even facial expressions. Orwell's depiction is weird because the technology is both ordinary and terrifying. It is seamlessly integrated into daily life while serving as a mechanism of complete domination. Readers are forced to imagine a world where privacy is non-existent and every personal action is potentially observed, analyzed, and judged. Fact 8. Oceania's social hierarchy. Orwell's depiction of social stratification in Oceania is unusual and unsettling. Society is divided into the inner party, outer party, and proles, each with distinct privileges, responsibilities, and constraints. What makes this hierarchy weird is its combination of arbitrary privilege and enforced mediocrity. Inner party members enjoy certain freedoms and authority, but are expected to follow strict ideological conformity. Outer party members are tightly controlled, constantly monitored, and denied personal autonomy. This social structure is intellectually strange because Orwell presents freedom and control as decoupled from material conditions. This inverted hierarchy challenges conventional notions of privilege, liberty, and social justice, highlighting the novel's enduring weirdness and philosophical depth. Fact 7. Julia's rebellion. Julia, Winston's lover, represents a rare example of personal rebellion within Oceania's rigidly controlled society. What is weird about her defiance is its pragmatic and sensual nature. She resists the party not through ideology, but through personal pleasures and covert acts of independence. Her rebellion highlights a peculiar aspect of Orwell's dystopia. Even small, non-ideological acts of freedom can carry profound significance in a society designed to suppress individual choice. Fact 6. Thought crime concept. In Orwell's dystopia, thought crime is the ultimate violation, targeting independent thought rather than overt action. The party punishes citizens for even considering dissenting ideas, making personal cognition a site of oppression. This concept is weird because it blurs the line between morality, legality, and mental privacy. Crime is no longer what you do, but what you think. Orwell forces readers to confront a terrifying reality where internal life can be policed, making mental autonomy both precious and dangerous. The psychological dimension of thought crime is unsettling. Fact 5. Newspeak language. Orwell introduces newspeak, a language designed to limit thought and expression, stripping words of nuance and reducing the potential for rebellious ideas. What makes this weird is the deliberate engineering of language to shape cognition. If words for dissent disappear, the concept itself becomes unthinkable. Orwell explores the deep connection between language and freedom, suggesting that controlling vocabulary is a method of controlling perception, belief, and ultimately reality. The impact of newspeak is both subtle and pervasive. Citizens slowly internalize linguistic limitations, which constrains imagination, reflection, and dissent. Fact 4. Doublethink paradox. Doublethink is the practice of simultaneously holding two contradictory beliefs and accepting both as true. Orwell presents this as a central tool for the party, allowing it to redefine reality while maintaining loyalty among citizens. The weirdness lies in the cognitive dissonance it produces. Individuals must condition themselves to suspend rational judgment, internalizing contradiction as normal. Fact 3. O'Brien's manipulation. O'Brien, a complex and enigmatic party member, embodies the strange, almost hypnotic authority of the regime. He befriends Winston only to later orchestrate his indoctrination, blurring the lines between mentor, torturer, and ideological enforcer. The weirdness of O'Brien's character lies in his dual role. He is both charming and terrifying, creating a sense of intimate betrayal that magnifies the psychological tension of the novel. Fact 2. Winston's psychological conflict. Winston Smith, the protagonist, embodies the weird tension between thought and survival. He desires truth, individuality, and resistance, yet every aspect of his environment enforces submission. This internal conflict is intellectually striking because Orwell explores the complexity of rebellion. It is not purely external, but deeply psychological. Fact 1. Enduring psychological horror. The most striking and weird aspect of 1984 is its lasting psychological impact. Orwell constructs a world that is not merely dystopian but psychologically invasive, forcing readers to imagine a reality where thought, perception, and emotion are constantly manipulated. This enduring horror comes not from action, but from the intellectual and emotional implications of totalitarian control, which remain unsettling long after the novel ends. Closing remarks: 1984 remains one of literature's most challenging and thought-provoking works. It offers no simple answers or comforting resolutions. Orwell forces readers to confront unsettling truths about authority, human psychology, and societal control. Whether you find the novel brilliant or disturbing, its refusal to compromise its vision is a remarkable achievement in modern literature. It demands active engagement, not entertainment, but reflection on some of the strangest and most alarming aspects of power and human nature. If you've explored these 20 weirdest facts, you've delved into the depths of Orwell's dystopia. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of literature's most intellectually provocative masterpieces, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content, exploring the intersections of history, literature, and human consciousness.